In this video, I will show how I make quick and easy turnings for gifts or for sales. Stay tuned to see how I do it. Well, guess what? I have an order for my shop. Well, it's actually not an order, it's a request. My wife asked me to make 3 particular items to give as Christmas gifts, so that's what we're going to do today. And I'm not going to tell you what they are. See if you can guess what the use is, and you can be thinking about it while I'm making it and when you see them, and see if you guessed right, because at the end I'll show you what we use them for. The other thing is, I'm going to show you how I make these little tenons and get them hot glued in place so that they run true. And that is just making that tenon out of that block without putting it in the chuck. So let me get set up. I'll show you how I get the tenons on a block that doesn't have one, and we'll get going and we'll turn these. I'll go ahead and show you my process of making those glue blocks with a tenon. I like to get my jaws closed up. I have that little center from where I laid it out. I'm going to cinch it up pretty decently because this is a friction drive now. Start by just making this round. It's in a 1/2 inch bowl gouge, and I only need to round a little bit. That's enough for that. I need to mark for a tenon, and this will get you pretty close right here. About like that. Alright, I'm just going to take the parting tool and put a step down to that line. It's a pretty hard piece of wood. It's birch. Alright, that should be good. Put it in the chuck. So here's something I like to do. Take a Sharpie, and I have black marks on my chuck for doing this. When I take this out, when I put it back in, if I put it on that line, it will run nice and true. So just to make sure it's running true now, which that's nice and flat, I'm going to round this up to there. I need to put a mark on here to turn to so that I have room for the hot glue. That's about there. So we're going to clean that up to that point and put a little bevel in there so I can get the hot glue gun in. That should do it. I'm going to take the piece where I have that center from cutting it out, and this is flat. That'll go against there. We'll get into this hole, and I have to make sure that that is flat, just like that. I've got the hot glue gun already heated up, and we'll just get the hot glue around it like this. Okay, and that will hold it. Okay, we're all set. I've actually never made any of these, but they're very simple, and my wife has one that she bought years ago, and that's why she wants me to make 3 more for some special people. So I can turn this about probably 1200 RPM, no problem. And first thing I'm going to do is make it round with my bowl gouge. I need to just get a line about in the middle, and these are 3 inches long, so Right about there is close enough. I have two sets of calipers, one for the middle, one for the ends. I'm just going to put some grooves in there and then freehand the cut. I'm going to use a parting tool for that. That's good. Now we'll do the ends. I just want to get them started first. Okay, that's good. Put a pencil line in there so I know where I'm at. I'll just round it over. So what would make this method an advantage for sales is I'm sort of doing a semi-production run on these. I'm turning the outside shapes and doing an initial sanding, and I do that on all the pieces, and then I'll drill the holes in all the pieces and do the finishing sanding and the actual finishing of the piece. That's it. That's actually pretty smooth. Put the lathe in reverse. Okay, that's got a real nice shape on it. I just sanded it with 80 grit. I'm going to take it out, turn another one. I'll be drilling all of the holes out, so we'll get them drilled and the final sanding and finish on it once they're all cut out. Alright, I've got the black Locust piece in there. Let's go ahead and make it round and get the marks on it and cut it. So I'm not going to talk about the turning portion of this while I do this one, but I just wanted to point out that these are very fast to make, and they'd make great gifts if you're into going to craft shows or fairs. And I think after the calipers were set and everything was placed in order, I could turn the shape on this and drill a hole in about 5 minutes actually. But finishing will take a little bit of time, and you could put a finish on it, you wipe on, and it would take next to no time at all. Or you could use something like I did, and you'll spend more time on the finish. Also, there's multiple ways you could use this besides what I made them for, and I'll show you that at the end. And now I'm going to do another turning because there's a tip in using those calipers that I want to talk about. So let's go ahead and turn one more. Okay, another piece of maple burl. Same procedure. Make it round. About 1350 RPM. That's round enough. This one looks, well, it's not too long. I do want to shorten that top just a little bit because it's not flat. So I push the line this way. Got the calipers with the larger opening. For real accuracy, you want these to fall through. If you push on them, they'll go through for sure. That's going through right now. That's very close to the dimension I want. So it's really not so much that you're pushing the caliper through, but if you put very much pressure at all, it'll pull them through. And believe it or not, that thing could be a 1/16 of an inch larger in diameter than what you're trying to get. And maybe that's not critical here, but for what I did for a living, you couldn't afford to be a 1/16 inch big. So I just wanted to point that out. Alright, well that's basically all there is to this, and I'll come back and show you the drilling process. I'm all set up to drill. I'm going to start with an 1.5-inch hole, go 2 inches down, I'll switch to an 1 7/8 and go to that same 2 inches. And I have the lathe in low range just to keep the torque, and doing about 225 RPM. So here's the reason why I put the mark on the piece to line it up with the chuck. The reason is I knew that when I got to the point of drilling it, I didn't want to change that bit for each piece. So I went ahead and drilled all of them with the 1.5 inch, and then I drilled them all with the 1 7/8. And that worked out quite well. And I ended up making 8 pieces, so that would have been a lot of bit changes. I've got them all drilled, sanded to 400. Now it's time for some sanding sealer, and I'll be using the Minwax water-based sanding sealer. So while this was drying, I went ahead and put the sanding sealer on the 8 other pieces. Okay, I'll let that sit, get another coat on it, and then we'll use the polycrylic. Okay, even though putting the polycrylic on looks exactly the same as doing the sanding sealer, I'll show you how I do it. I like to lightly sand it with 400. The sanding sealer will raise the grain. It's actually pretty shiny the way it is. We're not going to use much of the polycrylic. Just want to wipe it on. Make sure I don't leave any streaks. And it's all covered like that. And that is all there is to it. I'm going to let that dry and then we'll buff it out. Okay, the only thing I have left to do is to polish this out with the abrasive paste and then remove it from the tenon. So I'm going to take some of the white Scotch-Brite and go over it because I put my last coat of the polycrylic on it. And this is all that's going to need. That's very smooth now. And we'll go ahead and polish it out with the abrasive paste and make it really smooth and shiny. I am going in reverse at 780 RPM. A little smaller diameter needs to go faster. I've probably said it before, but it's all about surface feet per minute passing you. Larger diameter would have a lot more surface passing you at this RPM. Alright, that's got a really nice finish on it. I don't think I'll use the polish on this one. I like it just the way it looks. If you do use the polish restoring, you want to make sure you buff it long enough that it gets hot and dries all the oils out of there. Otherwise it could leave fingerprints, but you buff it until it's dry and you'll be in good shape. So let's go ahead and part this off. When I can, I like to use denatured alcohol on the hot glue. It'll loosen it up and you can get it off. But if I use it here, it's so close to my finish it might come onto it and mess it up. I don't want to do that. I want to put the tailstock up, not touching, but in there just to catch it in case it falls, but I don't think it will. I'm going to go right up next to the wood and part it with a real thin parting tool. like that. So it did come off, but it wasn't going to go anywhere. I'll get all of these cleaned up because I have a number of them, and get them signed and put some finish on it. I'll show you what we use this little guy for and some other uses. Okay, they're all done. And I'll show you the 3 that are gifts because I actually made 9. This is a piece of black locust burl. It's very pretty. They're all about 2 7/8 tall, 2 7/8 diameter, and I had to maintain this top edge because when I drilled the hole we needed to have a wall left. And I used a Forstner bit and it did leave a little hole in there from the tip of the bit, but that's okay because they will be covered. This is a pretty piece of maple and there is some burl in it. But I love this area here. And another maple burl. So I'll show you what I made them for in a second, but I'm going to show you some other uses, give you a chance to think about why I actually made them. You could put coins in this. Another thing that I need is a place to keep track of my remote controls, so I could put them in here, maybe put a rare earth magnet on the bottom so I could stick it on the top of my lathe. So here it is. See if you guessed right. Q-tip holder. This is what she asked me to make. 3 of these to give as gifts, and that's what I did, plus a few extra. I think it's a pretty clever idea. I'll show you one more because of her clever idea. I made her something. This is a piece of beautiful macadamia. It's the last piece that I had left. It was big enough to make this, and that's about all I could do. Well, I made her more than just that. I made a lid for it because she likes these little wooden boxes. That's a piece of Paduke. So I think she'll like that a lot. So let me get the rest of these set up and you'll be able to see all 9 of them. This one, and 7 more. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like the video, do me a favor and click that like button. And while you're there, it would be great if you could share the video around. Those 2 things will really help my channel grow. Leave a comment. I read them all and I do my best to answer them all. Thanks to all my subscribers. And if you're not, please consider doing so. I do a mix of all types of turnings. Some are simple and some are complex. So let me know your favorite. Thanks again, and until the next time, see you later.